Hi everybody, welcome to Geneso IT Trainings, and today we'll be talking about Virtual Private Cloud in AWS. Simply I refer this as VPC. In AWS, we have a service called as VPC, which comes under the networking and content delivery section, which is the most important thing that everyone needs to learn in order to work on AWS console, in order to work in the AWS. So every interview do expect you to have the knowledge on VPC. If you're appearing for an interview and if you say that you have an experience with AWS, interviewers would definitely expect you to have the understanding of what exactly a VPC is. So this session is going to be a learning about VPC, and this is going to be for the absolute beginners. If you know nothing about VPC, and this is going to be a session where you're going to learn. If you have a bit of idea and you're slightly confused to understand what exactly this VPC is all about, and this session is going to provide you a clear understanding of what exactly the VPC is all about. When we move further, let me show you some of the important components in order to create a VPC. If I go here, look at these components, VPC components. If you have to create a VPC, you need to have an understanding of what exactly a CIDR block is, and what is a subnet, and what is IGW, Internet Gateway, and what is a routing table, and what is an implied router inside it. If I start explaining these terminologies to you, I am sure you'll be little confused and you'll be little annoyed, or you'll be little worried to actually get the meaning of all these terminologies. Rather than understanding these terminologies in a regular way of describing these things, what I would do is I'll take a small scenario and we'll try to understand the scenario, and we'll try to correlate the components of VPC into that scenario, which would be much more effective way of learning. So let's directly jump into understanding of the scenario. So when I take the scenario comes something like this. Let's imagine we are trying to start up a company. And while we are trying to start up a company, it's let me say this is an IT firm or IT industry. We got a project where we have to develop an application for US clients or whatever it could be. And we have this project where we are supposed to develop an application. And this is our new office. This is a new startup. Let's say, this is a startup. Let me type here, startup. It's a startup. So when we are a startup, what do we do? Basically, what we try to do is we'll try to search for a building. Okay, let's say we have a building in Hyderabad. I am trying to set up this office in Hyderabad, and this is the building that is available in Hyderabad. So let me write, okay, this is our IL building in Hyderabad. So what do we do? The first thing inside this building, what do? We try to put some computers or laptops, or it could be the servers, or it could be any machines that are required for us to develop this particular application. In order to develop the application, the first and foremost thing that we need to have is we need to have the systems. We need to have laptops. We need to have certain servers. Or in a simple way, in order to make you understand, what I would do is I'll try to create some desktops or laptops that are going to be useful for your developers to work on this application. So let's say we are a startup, we got a project. That's what the first thing. We are a startup, we got the project. And once we have the project, what we are trying to do is let's imagine we hired some developers. We hired some developers, maybe around, let's say six developers. And in order to provision all these developers, we need to provide them some systems or laptops or desktops. So what we would do is we'll provision them here. Let's talk about, okay, this is one system, and this is the second one, and this is the third one. Okay, please try to understand what I'm trying to explain here. This is the third one, and somewhere down bottom here, what I'll do is I'll create a few more systems here. Okay, this is the fourth one, and a fifth one, and a sixth one. So we have six desktops or laptops that are available in our office, in our building, and where all these 6 developers would be working on these laptops. So every single developer will start writing the code on this laptop. Now we have a requirement in such a way that these developers would like to communicate the information that is available in this laptop to, or in this desktop, from this desktop to this desktop. So we have a scenario where what we are trying to do, we are trying to communicate the information. This developer would like to access some information that is available in this particular system, and this developer, whoever is writing, he is trying to communicate with this particular laptop, and this developer is trying to communicate with this particular laptop. So all the application code that is being written by all these developers is available inside these systems, and we have to ensure that these laptops or desktops are connecting to each other and they're able to reach each other. In order to make sure they're able to reach each other, let me erase them. In order to ensure that they're able to reach each other, what we would do is, when it comes to the networking point of view, when it comes to the infrastructure of our organization, what we will do is, we will try to set up one switch box. Let me say this is a switch box that we have. This is a switch box. Okay, let me write it. Let me expand this. Okay, this is a switch box. Okay, this is the switch box. We have a switch box, and what we would do is, with the help of with the help of LAN cables, and we will try to connect these switch boxes. So let's say here, this machine is going to get connected to this switch box, and this machine is going to get connected to this switch box, and this machine is connected to this switch box. And what we would do is, we'll have a LAN cable, and we will connect this LAN cable to this switch box. And we have another LAN cable. This is just a physical cables that we have. This is what we actually do it in an organization, or if we are planning to start up our company. So this is how we will set up, a switch box. And what we would do is, these are our laptops, our desktops, I would say laptops. Okay, it's okay, it's not being written properly, it doesn't matter. So what we would do is, we are trying to connect to the switch box so that every laptop can communicate with another laptop within this region, within this specific building, within this space, I mean to say. Okay, this laptop can go like this through this cable, and it can go from this cable and reach this system, or this system can go like this and it goes through this and it reaches this system. It goes like this and it reaches this particular server or a computer. So all the developers, developers who is working here, they would definitely have an advantage of communicating or transferring the data from one server to another server, one laptop or one desktop to another desktop. See, whenever I talk about laptop, laptop or desktop or machine, you can simply consider this is what I am referring to. This is what I am referring to, so that you will not be confused what I am trying to explain. So what we would do here, now we have the requirement of communicating the information between the laptops. So we have communicated with the help of a switch box. Now we got another requirement. The another requirement is, for some reasons we wanted to connect these machines to the internet. If we would like to connect these machines to the internet, so what do? Suppose, imagine back at your home, if you would like to connect your laptop or a computer or anything to your internet. Usually nowadays we are using mobile phones and creating the hotspot, giving the hotspot to it, and we are doing it. But instead of that, what we would do is, in general, if we would like to connect to an internet, what we would do is, we'll approach ISP. Who is ISP? Internet Service Provider. Internet Service Provider. So what is he going to do? This Internet Service Provider, what is he going to do? He will install one router at your home. He will install a router at your home. So this is going to be the router. And if this is an organization, what we would do is, rather than connecting all the cables to the router directly, we will have a switch box so that we will have an internal connectivity to it. Then what we will do is, we will try to establish a connection between the switch box to the router. Through this router, we get internet to our machines or laptops or desktops that we have in our organization. This is the same setup that we do it at the home, isn't it? But only thing is, as we don't have so many laptops available, or we don't have so many machines available, what we would try to do is, we'll just have the router which is being provided by the internet service provider, and we'll connect this router, and there'll be a Wi-Fi attached to it, and with the help of Wi-Fi we try to connect internet through this to our laptops back at home. But when it comes to this same scenario, with respect to the organization, there'll be maybe 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 desktops that would be available. Everything gets connected to the switch box, and this switch box is connected to the router. So this router will help us to provide internet. So this is what it is going to provide as the internet. So with the help of this router, we get the internet to all these laptops or desktops for us. So this is how, in a simple way, we have our own building where nobody can come inside this building, and inside this building, what we have is, we have our own systems where our developers are going to work. And in order to communicate the information between these systems, we have a switch box. And now we have a requirement where we would like to connect these laptops or desktops to the internet. So we go to the internet service provider, ISP, and they will come and install a router back at our organization. And with the help of this router, all these systems are connected to internet now. So whenever we have this router being connected, internally, even all these machines or laptops, they'll be able to connect with each other. They can connect with each other. So this is how, a simple setup of if we are trying to start up an organization, and if we want, a small setup to be available back at our office, and these systems need to get connected within each other, and this is what we do it. This is how we do it. And in order to really understand, if I have to correlate the same thing with whatever that is available here, if I write in AWS, what we have is, we have something called as EC2 instances. And the laptops or desktops are nothing but the servers, that we will call them as EC2 instances in AWS. So these are called as EC2 instance. This is the first one. I'll talk about this CIDR block when I'm talking about the IP addressing. The next class probably it is going to be about IP addressing for this VPC. We need to really understand the basics of IP addressing so that we will have a good authority and good command on what exactly an IP addressing, what exactly this CIDR block is all about, and how do we assign the IP addresses and everything. So in a simple terms, every EC2 instance or every laptop, every machine or every server would definitely have a name. So in terms of computers, in terms of communicating from one laptop to another laptop, they will be able to communicate with the help of IP addresses. IP address. So this is the way the laptops will be able to identify, okay, I have to communicate with this particular laptop. So suppose, imagine this laptop is trying to communicate with this laptop, or this desktop is trying to communicate with this desktop. So it will be able to reach this desktop with the help of the IP address of this. So it's a simple way how we have names for us. I will be called as Sagar, and you will be called as some name, and someone else will be called as some other name. So in the same way, all these computers will have a unique IP addressing. So probably rather than names for us, we can say Aadhaar numbers that we have or some unique identity number that every single person has when we talk about the different countries. But when I talk about India, we have Aadhaar number. So with the help of this Aadhaar number, every individual is going to be identified. In the same way, every laptop or every server or every machine or a desktop is going to be identified with the help of IP address. So if I have to communicate from this laptop to this laptop, it has to be identified with the help of IP address. So these machines or these laptops or desktops are called as EC2 instances, but these instances are servers. We call them as EC2 instances or servers, we can call them as. I'll talk more about it little later about the servers and all. Probably I'll try to upload my introductory video so that you'll be able to understand what exactly the server is. I have an AWS introduction video where you'll try to understand what exactly the server, and you'll have a good understanding of that. And the CIDR block I'll try to make you understand once I start. Probably the next class would be all about IP addressing for the VPC. At that time you'll be able to understand it. And even the subnetworking, these are IP related stuff. You'll be able to get it once I start the IP addressing when it comes to the VPC. And what is this IGW, Internet Gateway? Internet Gateway is nothing but this router. This router is called as Internet Gateway. So this is simply like IGW that we have. So in AWS, in our organization or in our house, whatever we call it as a router, you can just assume or you can just think this router as Internet Gateway. But whereas this router would definitely do some other functionalities like NAT, Network Address Translation. We have a different component for this, which I'll be explaining it in the upcoming videos as well. And this is nothing but Internet Gateway. When I talk about the routing tables, before talking about the routing tables, let me talk about what is an implied router. Implied router is nothing but a kind of a switch box. You can try to relate this switch box as implied router. Why? Because this implied router is one of the components which is not visible for us inside this AWS. Even if you open the AWS console also, you will not find this implied router. But the understanding of the entire architecture of this, the implied router, what it does is, it will help us to communicate between one server to another server with the help of this implied router. And for this implied router, we will be having something called as routes or routing table. I'll call it as routing table. Inside the routing table, we'll define the routes. Routes are nothing but the ways for these EC2 instances, where to go and connect actually. Suppose imagine if you're expecting this EC2 instance to connect some other server. So there should be something called as a route, which is nothing but a way. So this EC2 instance must be given a specific route so that it goes and connects to this particular EC2 instance that is available at somewhere else. So this is what in a simple way you can understand. The moment you open a AWS console, let me come here and imagine you open a AWS console and open this VPC. If you look into this, the components of this VPC, in order to create a VPC, the basic components that are required is, you need to understand what is a subnet, what exactly a subnet is all about, and you need to understand what is a routing table. You need to understand what exactly is an internet gateway. So it's simply like internet gateway is nothing but a router, something like this. Because of with the help of this router, these EC2 instances, these servers are going to get internet. And in the same way, if we attach this internet gateway for our virtual private cloud VPC, so whatever machines are being deployed inside that VPC, they get the internet. And this entire building is called as, I forgot to mention the initial itself. So this entire building is called as VPC, which is a virtual private cloud. Okay, and I'll try to make you understand what exactly this VPC. Let's look into the definition of what exactly the VPC is. So Amazon Virtual Private Cloud is a service that lets you launch AWS resources in a logically isolated virtual network that you define. Logically isolated virtual network that you define. A simple way of understanding why should I learn about VPC? A simple way of understanding is something like this. In order to set up this entire building, or in order to set up this entire infrastructure, it costs us a lot. There is a cost that is being involved for us. So taking a building for rent and setting up all this infrastructure, it would definitely cost us a lot of money because you require high-end configurations for these laptops where developers will be working on them. So in order to avoid that, what AWS has done is they are providing their servers. They're providing their servers to every single person whoever would like to use it. So when they're providing AWS servers to every single person whoever would like to use it, so what we need to do is we must have a virtually isolated network for us. Why should we have a virtually isolated network? Because we don't want, let's say AWS is this is let me draw a new one. Actually, let me draw a, okay, cancel this. Okay, we have this is an AWS region. This is an AWS. Okay, I can take the services of this AWS. So let's take, so I can use it. Suppose this is one person, he can use AWS resources, or let's say there is another person, he can use the same resources. There is some other person, he can use the same resources. There is some other person in different locality or region, he can use the same resources. But we have to ensure that everyone is trying to use AWS resources. But we have to ensure that this person, whoever is using the resources, should be only for himself. It should be isolated for him. It should be like, it should be isolated. That's more important, isn't it? Suppose imagine this person is launching an EC2 instance or a server, and he should not be able to access it. Only he should be able to access it, and he should not be able to access it. So in order to create something, an infrastructure, a kind of a building, a logical entity, a logical, the definition that we are talking about, a logical isolated virtual network, what we require in AWS is, inside this AWS, we create a VPC. Something like this. This is a VPC. So this VPC, we will be using it, or companies would be using it. Inside this VPC, what we can do is we can deploy EC2 instances, we can deploy the servers, we can learn a lot more. So if we try to understand, there are several components inside this VPC. Look at this, all these components are there. But in order to create a VPC, you need to really understand what exactly a subnet is. In order to understand what subnet is, you need to understand what an IP addressing is all about. IPv4 addressing, which I'll be covering in the next video of my of this section of this course. And after that, you need to understand what is a routing table. You need to understand what is an internet gateway. You need to understand what exactly your VPC is all about. Before I start creating VPCs, probably I'll take an opportunity to teach you more into the IP addressing, because the moment you click on the VPCs, let's look into this. The moment you click on the VPC, and by default you'll be having one VPC that is being created the moment you create an account. You'll be having a default VPC. This name is edited by me. I have edited this. Otherwise, it will not be there. If you're using AWS for the first time, it would be something empty like this. You need to you should be able to identify by scrolling like this. It's a default one. Sorry, not a tenancy. Yeah, default VPC. This is S. This is the one. It's a default one. And you need to really understand what this CIDR block is all about, and how many IPs this CIDR block is going to provide us. Without having an understanding, learning VPC would be like, there is no point in learning the VPC, because you will not be able to create the infrastructure, and you will not be able to assign the IPs. You will not be able to create assign the names for it as well. So definitely you need to have an understanding of IPv4 CIDR block. Probably what I'll do is I'll take the next class to make you guys understand what exactly the IP addressing is all about. Then we will try to understand the default options that are available the moment you create an account of AWS. What default VPCs are available, what is a subnet, what is a routing table, and what exactly is an internet gateway, and slowly moving further to endpoints, NAT gateways, peering connections, network access control lists, security groups. All these things will be able to understand. You'll be able to definitely get an understanding of what exactly I'm talking about. So this is kind of basics to understand what exactly a VPC is all about. And if you take this building is nothing but a virtual private cloud, and these are nothing but EC2 instances, and this is a switch box, which is nothing but a router, which is an implied router in the AWS section. The functionality of this implied router is it will help these EC2 instances to connect with each other by default. So if this laptop has to connect to this laptop, or this EC2 instance has to connect to this EC2 instance, it goes something like this. It reaches the implied router, and inside the implied router it will check whether there are route tables assigned to it or not. Once based on the route tables, you'll get to know what exactly the route tables are in the upcoming sessions. And if the route tables are updated, or if the route tables are showing the route, okay, and so that then based on the route that is being associated in the routing table, and this EC2 instance will be able to communicate with this EC2 instance. So implied router will help us to internally communicate with these servers, within these servers. Then we have a router. This is a physical device that we have installed back at our houses to get internet access. In the same way, if your EC2 instances need to get internet access, you need to have an internet gateway attached to it. So this is what the internet gateway, this definitely we'll be looking at in the upcoming sessions. But before that, please listen to I'll be making one more video on IP addressing. Listen to that video, and then we'll start understanding what exactly the default VPCs are all about. And after that, what I'll do is I will start creating the VPC. That's what for today's session, and I hope you have a basic understanding of what exactly VPC is all about. So thank you for listening so patiently, guys, and see you in the next session. Thank you so much. Please subscribe my channel, Geneso IT Trainings. Thank you.